Hallo und herzlich willkommen zu unserer 9. Folge Chat with Funky Space. Heute zum Thema Think Tank, eine Denkfabrik zu Deutsch. Neben mir sitzt meine liebe Kollegin Toni und konzentriert sich, wie ihr bestimmt schon auch jetzt euch vertraut ist, ein Zustand, der mir persönlich mittlerweile sehr vertraut geworden ist. Ich lasse dies für den Augenblick im Hintergrund und möchte mich der Thematik Think Tank widmen. Denkfabrik. Wir hier in der Schweiz haben die Avenir Suisse, die sich als Institut versteht, bestehend aus Expertengruppen, die verschiedene Konzepte und Strategien sozialer, militärischer, wirtschaftlicher Bereiche erforschen und auch bewerten. Ich möchte mit dieser Überschrift die Thematik, die wir in unserem letzten Podcast immer wieder gestreift haben, Informationen präziser herauszuarbeiten, auch zu hören von der Seite Space Radio, zu Information aus Blut herauszuholen. Ich möchte mich hinwenden, Medicine of the Future, Themen aus diesem Bereich herauszuarbeiten und vor allem Informationen abzufragen oder zu erfragen aus dieser Matrix. Ja, und ich höre, die Matrix meldet sich. In dem Moment möchte ich nochmal wiederholen und betonen, dass Milady mittlerweile neben mir sitzt. Ich möchte mich an diese Begriffe sehr halten und schätze auch das Wiederhören, in dem Sinn auch oder in diesem Augenblicke auch Wiedersehen von Milady, weil ich sehe, dass sich diese Persönlichkeit verändert. Herzlich willkommen, liebe Space Radio.
Yes. Hello, welcome back. Welcome back to a new, you call it episode in your world, and we call it new information for you down there. And we call it bring you also much more information that you can imagine and much more that you even can realize, because your world is so made on physical and structural commitments in everything, So what you don't see, what you don't know, you can put it on paper. You have always the knowledge from the past, but you don't have the knowledge of the future, and you think that the past make the future. But you don't realize that the future is already made and you are just going it, you just are in it. You go with the future. So people in your world maybe can say, well, but we invented this and we invented that, and we just, had this in the past. So the next experience that we can have is just doing this on that way. But you don't have the information on other, let me say, mathematical terms, which just make a little bit things different. We call, or I told already in other sessions, that there will be things that will be good for the world and things that will disappear also in the world.
Ja, gerne.
Yes, that, thinking that things are always there. Now, what things you mean? That will be a question. What things you mean will always be there in the world? You have to imagine, because of the climate change in your world, a lot of information that you just put on paper all the last years and centuries, you think that it goes on like that, will be just have a different influence to your living style and to your living daily life as well, and to your let me say it also, to the production of food.
Yeah.
So what you put on paper, it's not something that you have it black and white for the next 50, 60 years.
Mm-hmm.
And this is something when we talk about that, what you call a think tank in your world, we say, well, you have to look on that, and you have just to be or questioning this, if this is very necessary in your world, or just put also a mark on something that you still don't know. And we have a lot of things to tell you also today, but it's just that the influence of the weather, the condition of the weather in the future will just make, you call it sometimes, we have just to need, or you need a plan B in your world. And this is really something that you have to put in mind, that for many, many things which you have in the world, which you want to do in your world, which you want to produce in your world, you need a plan B in the future.
Das hatten Sie bereits auch schon erwähnt, diesen Plan B. Und die Aussage, dass wir uns bereits in der Zukunft bewegen, das heißt in unserer empfundenen Gegenwärtigkeit, der Gegenwart, sind wir bereits in der Zukunft. Das ist eine Aussage, die meines Erachtens die Menschheit nicht so einfach schluckt, sage ich, oder hinnimmt, dass wir der Zukunft entgegengehen. Genau, das können wir verstehen durch unsere, wie Sie es auch erwähnt haben, durch unsere Entwicklung und Taten in der Vergangenheit.
Yes.
Und jetzt geht es weiter nach vorne, ja, aber dass wir uns bereits dort drin befinden, das heißt, da drin müssen wir den Blick schärfen. Und das ist mein Anliegen heute, wirklich an Sie auch heranzutreten mit der Bitte, den Fokus zu schärfen auf die einzelnen Vorkommnisse. Wo ist wirklich dieser Plan B für uns machbar? Wo können wir anfangen, es auch zu verstehen?
And necessary as well, it's not just something that you think that you need to have everything what you have right now on earth. You need to think that many things will not be there anymore, and many things don't need to be done or produced anymore either. So this is something that you have to go, it's like making a plan, what do we need and what we don't need in the future. And what you need in the future is food.
Yeah.
And to produce food, you need water and you need earth. You need a healthy earth, if I can say it like that, a clean earth. You need clean water, to produce something. Because about the past, what happens in many countries when you don't have clean water and when you don't have a clean earth. So you can produce anything. So this is something which you really should put in mind. And as we talked already in other sessions, it's the war right now, You have also to think that all the places where you just put bombs and you just produce an earth which is insane. It's insane to produce food afterwards. Also all your atomic constructions which you have, and also the whole thing is something which will produce well, that's what we want to explain. You know it, that what you think to have and to produce in the future with all that constructions will not be healthy anymore. And you have already, and that's why we put it also in this session, many cases in cancer. You have many cases in different disease which will implement the world differently in the future, because all what you're doing now will have an output in the future. And as you talked, you are in the future, yes, but you get more in the future, your children get more in the future, and from today in 10 years this is your future. It's also in 20 years your future. So what you're doing right now will have a very big impact. And when we talk about that the years upcoming are a little bit critical, more than critical, you need to think that this is what you're doing today, that they are and will be critical. Because it's not just, you know, the output of the earth, but it's also the output of what you're doing today. So the relation on what is the future, your future, is the output what you're doing daily in your world. And this is something to comprehend. And you know, the think tank which you have in your world, they construct ideas, they construct technology, you know, you think that with technology you could just have no problems anymore in the world and anymore in the future. You think also to reduce working time. You think, and you have right now what you call home office. It's perfect, but you know, when you don't have electricity, I don't think that you can make a home office, you know, you can't work like that. So what is the next step? So the first step, and that's really what we want to say, we really need to say that you have to look how you produce food in the future. This is the very, very big point in all that, because that will be something when you have less territory, you have less seeds, and you have an insane earth. That's a problem. Now, you know, many people in your world will say, well, you know, we can produce it artificially, and with technology you can do everything. But the thing is that because, and we told already also in other sessions, sun and gravity will cause also problems. You don't have always the electricity to produce something, so you can't produce how you call it this with technology food that you just say, well, you know, instead I just take a pill and I do have all my vitamins and that's all right. You know, all that, you can forget it either. So,
weil das ja auch produziert werden muss.
Exactly. So you really need to know that in the future you need earth, you need a sane earth, and you need water, you need clean water. Everything must be clean. And what it will be in the next 10 years, you have to clean up your world, that you just can get that. And this is something you don't know when you don't put it in your plan. You think that everything is just going fine like it is. But the thing is that you have to clean up, and no think tank in your world has to clean up right now. On point number one.
Richtig,
you know? And this is what you really need to do. It's really a big cleanup from the north until the south and in every country. If you don't clean up your world, and with cleaning up I really mean, you know, it's not just the plastic you have and you know, the bombs and all this waste. You really need to understand that the earth will produce and has to produce, because it's also a product of the earth. It's not just, you know, the same earth, but there are also spots where you can put seeds in it.
Ja, und da sind wir jetzt auch, also aktuell haben wir mit Atommüll, Deponien, Orte, auch wenn sie tief eingegraben sind, da kann man nie mehr etwas anpflanzen. Also das wissen wir heute.
It has a big impact in the future. Yes.
Richtig.
It has a big impact already now, but more in the future.
Allerdings würde ich jetzt auch behaupten, was raten Sie in so einem Augenblick? Weil bisher ist jeder Versuch gescheitert, diese Erde, die verseucht ist mit Radioaktivität, mit Atommüll, Restbestandteilen, ist nicht bebaubar, Acker bepflanzbar, da keimt kein Blättchen grün.
Let me say that, you know the world, I know that you are looking at the world, and we told already in other sessions, the world is still a fireball. And with fireball, it has these 4 elements. And the 4 elements, one of it is earthquake, and one of it is also all the volcanic ashes, which will just also be in the world, which will just put, let me say it like, new ways to produce on a better earth. But you know, you can't just say to a volcano, so let's just do your work, or just come out today because we need new earth. And
fruchtbare Erde.
Exactly.
Richtig. Ja.
And so what happens now the upcoming years? You have lots of volcanoes, because I told you already that the world is just going on a mathematical way and not like you wish it. But the earth gives you also now the moments that these volcanic ashes can just come down in the world on earth. But what happens, it's not just a benefit for the future, it also destroys a lot of things. But you need to know, when something is destroyed, something new can just grow. And this is what happens also in the upcoming years. So the 4 elements will just clean up very well, let me say it like that. But the human being needs to know what to do afterwards. So if you think that you just can continue like you have done until now, that will be just a big problem in the future. Well, it will not happen, because you think just the human being are just related in a let me say, it's like thinking in a small box. You put your thinking in a small box, and the world, the mathematics, just has another reason to say, well, no, you're thinking like that, but we can do much more. And that's what you don't know, as we already told also in other sessions. Look behind the wall. And what happens now is really that the 4 elements, they make a lot of cleanup in the world. And so when things happen like that, really think also that it's like the natural path, which gives you also a new chance. But take these chances. Just don't put another, what you say, well, now many people lost their life, or everything just burned down. Just think also that this element will just give you the possibility just to grow, and to put new seeds and just to live differently. So these 4 elements will be very, very much, let me say, useful in the next 10 years to clean up the world on a natural way.
Yeah.
And it's something you are afraid of. And that's good that you're afraid of, because I'm sorry to say it really, you have to think what you have done on Earth. So it is like, well, now it's another chapter, we clean up and then you can start again. But what will happen, when people will start again, many of those people, and I really need to say it like that, which think that they can just continue their lives or their behavior, they will be gone. I'm so sorry to say, many of them are just not having the chance either to say something. And I need to say it like that, because the world also need to be cleaned up about, let me say, companies which are producing more dangerous things in the world than natural things. Natural sane things, yes. So if a company just closed the doors, sometimes I know that people are afraid about what is coming up, but you also have to think about the good things showing up after something happens like that. But the thing is that human beings are always thinking completely different. But we want to remind you that a lot of things are also good for the world. So it's not always that you think the world is going in a disastrous way, going into their future, and it's just everything disastrous what it's coming up in the world. Not at all. It has the good things, but it has to be cleaned up. Very necessary, and also for the animals, and I talked already in other sessions that the future generation, they are more, they are not so related in technology like you are right now. It's like the last era. So for us, it's like showing how many companies you can close in the upcoming years, which has to do with technology, because it will not be something which has a future. I'm sorry to say it like that. It will be just like a big question mark that I or we can say like that, but that's not, the future of the world, that you just can do whatever you want.
Darf ich da mal hinein?
Yes, for sure.
Kommen? Also das eine ist, was ich meine durchzuhören, ist, ich sag's mit einfachen Worten, go with the flow. Also diese Tendenz, sich wirklich der Situation anzunehmen, der ich auch begegne und nicht der Situation, in der Situation sich zu befinden, in der ich mir vorstelle oder wünsche oder es gewohnt bin und es mit diesen Augen auch aufnehme und mit einem gewissen Stursinn auch weiter verfolge. Sondern dieser Ausdruck Go with the Flow zeigt auf, dass ich permanent in einem Gewahrsein sein muss, um der Situation gerecht zu werden.
And this is steady ongoing, yes.
Genau, das ist also
for human beings.
Richtig. Ich höre Sie da drin auch wieder wirklich unser Bewusstsein zu schulen, unser Bewusstsein zu schärfen für die Ist-Situation und zwar auch weltweit, auf der ganzen Erde. Also was sind das für Zeichen, die die Erde auch uns gibt? Sei es in Vulkanausbrüchen, sei es in Erdbeben, sei es im Moment haben wir auch mit Überschwemmungen zu tun. Sie sprechen auch oder sprachen auch schon davon in anderen vorherigen Podcasts von so viel sinnflutartigem Regen, dass gewisse Landteile untergehen werden.
And it's still like that, I'm sorry to say.
So ist genau, also da verstehe ich Sie. Und dann tun Sie auch unsere Gesellschaft ansprechen, die viele Jahrzehnte, ich möchte nicht von Jahrhunderten sprechen, sondern im Moment mehr den Blick schärfen auf die vergangenen Jahrzehnte, die eine sehr schnelle Entwicklung, auch technologisch eben gegangen sind. Da sprechen Sie sehr viel an, dass wir auch da drin unsere Blicke schärfen, unser Bewusstsein schärfen für die Veränderung. Yes. Es ist ein Zeichen, was wir als solches, auch jetzt in Schließungen von Großfirmen, die ganz aktuell durch die Medien gehen, nicht nur in unserer Angst verharren, sondern eben sehen, was dadurch, dass etwas vergeht, etwas Neues.
Something new.
So ist es, genau. Und wir eigentlich mehrheitlich in der Angst und in der Schuldzuweisung uns befinden.
Yes, because the more the world was the technology in the last 200 years, we had a lot of invention during that time.
Richtig.
And people just thought, and it's your history that you went with the flow, but you had more people, you had more diseases, you had more damaging, you had more wars, also very heavy wars. You had not just the best time, so
Richtig.
Even if you think that you had good years and that everything just went up, now, as I told already in the last session, things are just going down and reducing, and it's a new era that the population right now on Earth needs to understand that and needs to work with this information and needs to understand what we need to do now when things are reduced. So you are looking in your world that population just get nearly 200 years old, but is this really necessary? Is this really necessary that everybody can just have an age on 100 years? Is this necessary that people just can go and buy children, Is this necessary that just you need to make everything artificial and that you need everything artificially if the earth gives you everything on a natural path and way? So this is something you need to know. And what nature makes now with that is also to show you that the natural forces are much more intense and bring you back to think differently. And this is something that as a human being you don't want to recognize it either, when mountains fall down and you have and you know it already in your world, you're afraid about permafrost, you call it like that. And this is something that will show up in the upcoming 10 years, so for sure it doesn't need 100 years. And it is, and we just, I want to talk about disease which are coming up with that.
Yeah.
You think that everything just can be handled through your technology, that for everything you invent a medicine, and for everything you invent injections because you can make money with it. But this is, let me say, something that you have to understand, that even if you think to do something like that, you will lose. And so I just want to tell to all the scientists down there, just don't even think to make something to produce a poison which will be much more poisonous for everybody than just helpful. And I also need to say that in your world, a lot of scientists want to play God. I need to say it like that. And at the end, they are losing everything, and they lose their lives as well, because it's not on the plan that they are better than the mathematical terms which are given and already written, if I can say it like that. I know that scientists want to have everything in black and white. They one day when they hear something like that, they're just saying, well, stupid words, but at the end they will see that it doesn't function what they want, because we see it, we know that the mathematics about it. And so just be prepared that through this changement and in these upcoming years, and I really tell you, it is something which is from today on in the next 10 years already shown up in the world. You don't have medicine for that. So I know that in your world you say, well, we have to produce something because of, but the thing is that you can't, if you don't know the mathematics, you can't produce anything, because let me say, the healing will be a different, it's like a different
output.
Yes, it's like a different, and it's something you shouldn't know and you will not know. That's something for sure, because you need to understand that nature is always much, much more powerful than what you produce on Earth.
Das ist interessant. Ihre Aussage darf ich nochmal zusammenfassen.
Yes, for sure.
Sie sagten auch, dass die upcoming generation auch kein Interesse mehr in der Form an Technologie hat. Sprich, dass die Generation von Kleinkindern heute bereits schon nicht mehr wohl so addicted, sage ich mal, ist. Alles, was digital verfügbar ist. Wir sprechen hier auf Erden auch von den Digital Natives, wo wir sehr auch interessiert zuschauen, wenn so ein Kleinkind mit dem Handy einfach so schnell vorankommt nach dem Prinzip Try and Error und nicht bewertet und einfach sich weiterarbeitet. Das ist das eine, was mich brennend interessiert. Also was bringt diese nächste Generation mit sich? Und Sie betonen das, dass da Interesse ganz anderer Art vorhanden ist. Und dann auch, um realistisch auch wirklich zu bleiben. Das ist mir ein Anliegen. Das Leben hat noch immer geendet mit dem Tod für uns Menschen. Das war das einzig sichere. Genau.
And it will be also in the future.
Ja, das nehme ich sehr an. Genau. Und schön, dass Sie uns das bestätigen. Aber was heißt das? Also müssen wir das auch viel übersetzter verstehen? Ihre Aussagen, dass wenn Wissenschaftler sich auch um neue Medizinen, Sie sprechen aus, Gifte bemüht sind, die auf den Markt zu bringen, zu erfinden, dass es im Grunde genommen hoffnungslos ist, dieser Versuch auch über künstliche Intelligenz, sich da weiter vorwärts zu arbeiten. Es wird wie ein großer Tsunami kommen und die wegschlucken oder wegwischen. Ich weiß es nicht. Ist das auch Ihr
what we want to say is also that your generation is just looking back, on what happens the last 200 years. But our mathematics is much older. So if you go back in time, you know that many tribes, thousands thousands of years ago were just more intelligent than you, and they didn't have computers and technology, but they knew much more. And this knowledge is coming back, and this knowledge is also something. It's not it's the new generation, but it is, you know, the generation which still is unborn. And with unborn, I mean, you know, the generation which will just show up at the end of 2030, 31. So the next 10 years, it's not they are not those babies which have this knowledge in their cells, if you can say it like that. You know, it is an old knowledge. I mean, look at Milady. You know, the knowledge of mathematics is something that people with people still not today in your world, but this knowledge is coming back to people which have this consciousness, which are, let me say, with the antennas out. And this is something which, that's why also the next 10 years, it's just really, it's like an upload of people which has this, they do have this in their cells. They have this knowledge. You know, it's not something that you just can learn at university. And that's what we want to say as well. You have these think tanks in your world, but think, you know, thousands of years ago, they were the producer and the initiator of the think tanks. Not today, you know, your world. But you need always, in a generation or in a decade of living human beings, you need always somebody which think that they are better and that technology just make everything for the best, but that will not be the case. And what we want to say with that, you know, also we spoke about gravity, we spoke about all the natural phenomena which will just show up, and all the people in the world which has been living or have been living in the world had to go through things like that. So don't think that you are the most intelligent because you're living in the 21st century. It's like, well, you know that we call you like we call you, you know, but you have to understand that your knowledge down there is something which is just for a short period. And this is something which is like just giving it's just like slapping, you know, the face of what you have on earth right now. But it's not what we want. We just want to communicate to you that, you know, when you think that you need to produce more, how you call it, this cellular phones, and that you need bigger TVs, and that you need this and that, you need to understand that, you know, in a just sweeping with the fingers it can be over, and you're not on. You don't want to understand that, and we just want to remind you that what was also in that very very beginning of the world, it was just nature. It was just you know, the four forces. And just we want to remind you that this is still the case. So don't make yourself so important down there, and don't think that human beings and all these, let me say, companies and governments think that, you know, everything what they are doing will just be, you know, because that's the case right now. We see that many people, governments and companies just want to, they don't want to believe in that what we are saying, for sure, because they want to be more intelligent in that, but they don't think that, you know, it's over already. So we really need to say it's over. So just don't claim yourself on something which will be gone in few years. And many companies have to go through this, let me say, event. And I know that in your world, events are always in a positive way, but there are also events which are just like closing up something, that something better can be on Earth. And this is a point of view that human beings, they don't want to see it, and they don't want to be realistic in that. And this is something which will be like shown from the nature to human beings in the upcoming years now. And with upcoming, I mean really, you know, in 10 years, it's not that the whole world is gone. We just want to show you that it will come and show up.
Die nächsten Jahre jetzt.
It's 10 years from now on, yes, more or less. Because it's the mathematics is a timetable, you know. We just know what it is in these 10 years. So also, if a company would just ask me as Milady would say, well, we want to do this and this, they can really say, well, no, in 1 year you have to close the doors because nobody will just buy that. It is something that you have really to imagine that things will change. And sometimes what we want to say is that many companies think they will make a lot of money because of the big invention, and we just say, well, you have to go through it, that you have to close the doors. And it's also bad for people which are working there, they have families and everything. But also now, your world is always in this top. We have to produce and we have to be better, and our company is on the first place. And what you think, it's something so stupid. It's something like, hey, it can be over.
Ja. Mir kommt in dem Augenblick der Ausspruch im Deutschen, gibt es einen Spruch meines Erachtens: Froh zu sein bedarf es wenig, denn wer froh ist, ist ein König. Es zeigt an diese Gewahrsamkeit von Bewusstsein für den Augenblick. Und nicht, dass wir Helden sind, jeder in seiner Tätigkeit oder in seinem Erfolg. Das meine ich damit.
And what you don't do down on earth, living with the elements. And this is something which we really need to say, start to live with the elements, because the 4 elements will be so showing you the way, and if you think, and you have this already now, that mountains are falling down, volcanoes are just really showing up the forces. Just look at that and don't think that you have to construct something nearby, or that you have, just look at what the nature is telling you.
Das meine ich, sehr zu hören, und auf das wollte ich vorhin auch eingehen. Ist es Ihr Hinweis auch?
Also for the think tanks,
Ja, richtig. Unsere Sinne viel mehr zu schulen für den Ist-Zustand, in dem wir sind, in dem wir uns befinden. Ich meine, wir haben alle Möglichkeiten, auch Nachrichten von all over the world reinzuholen im gleichen Augenblick, und wir sind wie paralysiert und agieren nicht. Wir agieren, wir reagieren, aber wir agieren nicht. Wir nehmen es nicht wirklich zur Kenntnis und schauen, dass wir das Beste aus dieser Situation auch für Natur, Mensch und Tier erschaffen.
Yes, you are afraid. It's a generation, and I really speak about the generation of people always were afraid, also 100 and 200 and 2,000 years ago, when volcanic ashes just showed down, and you have bigger animals, and you had earthquakes. It was always something scary. But what I want to say with that is, look at these elements. And don't be afraid about thinking differently and go a new way. And this is something that, because of all that, you're stopping to think and you're ignoring the future.
Ja, das wollte ich jetzt auch noch einwerfen.
You're ignoring the future and the future steps, because you are thinking in the old way.
Richtig.
And the old way will be old and gone. That's what we want to say with that. So think differently. Think completely different and think globally. And with globally, we don't mean that you have, your world is just, we are globally connected. We are globally this, and it's something which includes the whole global, and everything is globally. But thinking into the future, you're not even thinking globally,
das
because
ist
you are
der
so
Fall.
Afraid about it.
Ja, und diese Urangst davor bringt heraus in uns als Lebensgefühl, als Verhalten auch eine Ignoranz.
And losing, you're always afraid about losing, but when you have less, you don't lose anything. So that's
ja, und wir verhalten uns aversiv. Aversiv gegen das eigene Dasein.
Against nature.
So ist,
yes. But nature has much more forces, and we talk about the forces, and it's something which we really say, understand the forces and don't ignore them.
Ja, und an dieser Stelle möchte ich auch nochmal hinweisen, auch unsere Zuhörer, nochmal ihnen auch eine Verständigungsebene reichen. Sie sprechen immer wieder von diesen mathematischen Feldern, von der mathematischen Zeit, von mathematischen Verhältnisangaben, die Proportionen. Sie sprechen es von so einer anderen Warte an, als wie wir, ich sag mal, wir Menschen hier auf Erden, die wir denken, das, was wir denken, sei richtig.
Exactly, yes. Yeah, you need always,
und sonst sind wir bereits verloren. Genau. Das
you have to come away from your black and white thinking. That's something also. Lose that, and it's fine that you lose it, because in the future the spontaneous idea, and it's like a welcome to spontaneity, and to also realize much more nature, what nature is saying and telling you.
So and schön, if you're thinking Gedanke,
that the black and white will just let you believe that you live longer and that you have a better health, that you have everything because it's black and white, just forget that. You know that in a podcast, in a session, we told you, well, we just send you black and white papers that you can understand it. And it's something that we always say, well, human beings sometimes really, they don't want to learn something. They just want to hold back the old thing. The old life, everything which is old.
Ja. Und verstehe ich Sie da richtig? Sie wollen quasi unser Bewusstsein da drin, unseren Blickwinkel wie weiten, weil diese mathematischen Felder, von denen Sie sprechen, aus denen Sie auch heraussprechen, wenn ich das richtig verstehe, die haben einen anderen Zugang zu diesen Naturkräften, zu den Naturverhältnissen, die für uns dann erlebbar sind.
Exactly, yes. And it's something you can't know.
Richtig.
And even if you're a professor in mathematics or you're a scientist in physics, you don't know about it. So it's not something that people with a university degree do have a commitment with,
Oh nein,
so it's really something that Milady, and her work since many years already. It's something really that it's like reading these numbers. It's a reading of numbers, and to understand what these numbers and this communication of mathematics means to the world and means also to human beings. And there were in the past people in your world which have done and which had this let me say this intelligence, and it's not something that you can even make it with artificial intelligence. We really have to laugh about it, because I just can tell you something in the future, and because we know about the future. So it will come the day that we talked already in another session about artificial intelligence. I really need to speak it out like that artificial intelligence, it's really mocking about the people just sitting on the computers. So it doesn't matter if it's, a chief on a police station, or it's a doctor which wants to make an operation. It's like really mocking about the person sitting there and putting things in it. So if you are at that day, you will believe us, what we told you always, that you have to stop it.
Spannend. Und ich bin sehr dankbar für das Beispiel auch, so ein lebendiges Beispiel. Es fehlen mir etwas die Worte, merken Sie?
Yes, because it will be, we know it, but that will be also the day where you really have to think what you have done, what you have produced. Wo
wir drin sind, was wir uns erschaffen haben. Und an was wir auch glauben, dass es immer funktioniert.
That's the reason you're just believing that technology just, you don't have problems in the future with technology, but you will have much more, and then the forces are just upcoming and clean up a lot of things, which I say it's not a disaster. It will not be a disaster for the world. It's a benefit, because if computers are mocking about human beings, you really just can, I don't want to say what you can do by then, but It is the start of something which you never can imagine. Yeah.
Dankeschön.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I really, we are concerned about what you're doing. We're just helping you just to go. It's like, human beings can saying, well, we don't want to hear things which we don't have on black and white. We just can communicate and we just do our best. You can choose in between of heaven or hell, it's something that human beings just need to know. And some want, they prefer the hell than the heaven, and paradise and hell. But we are just telling you which way you can go and which way you should have a look on it, and we will do, because I know that you have also a lot of questions about medicine. And
ja, richtig.
We will do it in the next session, because it's really a very let me say, it's like you have to understand that the mathematics is something so big, and the brain of the inventor and the producer of everything what you have in medicine and everything what you think that you can do with human beings and with their blood and with their bones and everything, just gives you just these very little pieces of something. But it's much more bigger, and what the human beings don't have, they don't have the relation to the world. So if you think that you have now in your world, you have this CRISPR-9, it's called like that. You can just cut, DNA and just put another DNA and just take out this and this. You don't know in the relation of what is in the world in mathematics, what you're doing with it. So it's not something that you think, well, we can do it, and we are just, we invent a new human being. You don't know all about what is going on in the world during that time, and what this means to the world and to human beings, to families, and to the person just doing and going through that. This is something which you don't know, because people don't know about mathematics. They just see a human being, and you see, your rats in a laboratory, and you see that, I can code that, and then I put this and this and this. But you don't know the relation. If you do this with a rat and you do it afterwards with a human being, what does this produce for the world? This is something which is a big question mark for you, but it's not for us. And we just really say, just let it, don't let it happen. So, everybody's saying, or maybe thinking now, well, if we just stop, we are not producing and we are not doing this, and we don't, and the money doesn't get in, and we have to, because we are scientists. But, there is also a point where you have to be, where you need to stop, also a scientist.
Ja.
Und that's very important to say.
Sie sind da sehr deutlich.
Oh yes.
Sie sind sehr deutlich in ihrer Aussage. Es kommt auch mit einer Vehemenz ihrer Aussagen. Ich möchte hier immer wieder darauf hinweisen, mit welcher Großartigkeit sie und welcher Bandbreite sie die Dinge, die sie schildern, erklären. Ich möchte auch das, so ist, ich möchte es auch einfach für unsere Zuhörer auch immer wieder in Erinnerung rufen, dass es tatsächlich ein nicht menschlicher Blick ist, aus unserem menschengeschaffenen Denken, sondern eine ganz, ich möchte sie hier bezeichnen, eine ganz besondere Geste. Sagen Sie gerne.
Well, we say it also like you say it and think it down there. It's globally, but it's globally, mathematically globally.
Richtig.
And you don't know the globally mathematics from all that. You don't know, when you do something which shouldn't be, what the consequences are. So this is something you don't realize as human being, that there is a point where you can't just go through, and that's what many people also want, to go through they want to break this wall. And we called and told you also, you have to look behind that wall. But to look behind that wall means be consciousness and say, well, this is not something that we need in our world. But what many people in your world wants to do or want to be, it's going through that wall and think that they are they get famous maybe, or that they are the inventors of something. They go through terms which are so dangerous as well for many human beings. So and it already with the atomic bomb what happens, and many people at that time said, well, it was better that I never invented, because I know what danger can just come out of it. And this will also be, and I need to say it, because of all this danger, also the four natural powers just come and show up and say, well, that was just too much. So just don't think that when things happen now in the upcoming years, all your invention will be just for the upcoming 100 years, because there will be also nature just telling you now, stop it. And it's also good for the world, that people really don't think that they just can do whatever they want.
Oh ja, was ein weiser Hinweis.
Yes. It's wisdom. It's really much wisdom, and people which wants just to ignore all that, they will be refused from nature. So I'm sorry to say it like that, because it's just too much, yes.
Um es in dieses Gefäß des Think Tanks, der Denkfabrik auch nochmal hineinzugeben, was ein wunderbares Moment, die Avenir Suisse, die sich das wirklich auf die Fahne schreibt.
Not only.
Ja, aber zu schauen, was wir in Zukunft alles bedenken sollen, wirtschaftlich, teilweise auch militärisch, es einem öffentlichen, der Menschheit, der Gesellschaft dienenden Zweck auch zukommen soll. Sie sprechen so weise Worte in diese Richtung, dass tatsächlich das eine Priorität erhält, dass wir uns besinnen.
Yes, it's very important, because
Leben, in unserem Handeln, in unserem Sein.
Yes, it's not working other ways, it's just not. And this is something that you don't learn that at your universities, nowhere in the world, because the thinking of we have to be enormous, rich, and everything must be more and always more and always better and always faster. Now it's like to turn to think differently, and we just want to communicate that it started already, that we have to think differently, and it needs time. We understand that, but it's not that you have to sleep during that time. We don't want to send you pillows down there that you just can sleep for the next upcoming 10 years, and just to send you beds and pillows. We just really want to wake you up. That's what we want. And I need to say it like that, because that we have also humor. Mathematics is also humor.
Ein wunderbarer Schalk, der da durch Space Radio herunterschallt.
Yes, exactly. So no pillows. So we send you just a big clock, and to say, well, just welcome in your new world. Yeah, it's not time to sleep.
Oh, danke.
Yeah, wake up, yes.
Ja, richtig, dieser Wake-up-Call kam auf jeden Fall an. Ich danke Ihnen so herzlich.
And see you next time, and thank you so much, and really believe in that what we want to tell you, because we know the world. That's what we want to say. We know the world, and we know also the future. So the less problems you want to have, just do something for it now. Start. Yeah.
Was ein weises Ende.
Yes,
let's start.
So much. Yeah. Yes, not let's dance, but let's start. Well, and then you can dance. Yes. So thank you so much. And
danke.
Goodbye. See you and hear you next time.
Neue Gedanken im Sinne einer Denkfabrik. Eure Liz
und Toni.